course, Steve Kaplan, our West Bloomfield Township Supervisor, joining us now at the live desk. So Steve, great event coming back out here again this year, and it really feels like over the last several months really, that people have been more than willing than ever to get back out into the community and participate in these kinds of events. Now, what is that like for you as a leader to see West Bloomfield come back to that vibrance we typically see at this time of the year all throughout the community?
Well, Tyler, as you know, beginning in March of 2020, COVID erupted, and many families, many people, even employees remained at home, and it's very disappointing where you can't interact with people. This type of event, it's open, it's social, and the students are really enjoying themselves, but it's a wonderful event for the fire department in the township because it reflects well on our township.
And it's interesting, too, because individuals can learn more about their fire department and what West Bloomfield's fire department does in our community, because it goes so much beyond fighting fires. There aren't a whole lot of fires that do happen in West Bloomfield Township. That's not to say that that they don't happen, but the majority of the work that the fire department is doing is in other safety-related materials.
Right. We have 94 firefighters on the force, and you're very well involved in the community, and you know our township well. And I think the residents would be pleased to know that we are in the business of preventing fires, not extinguishing fires. Now, as obvious as that sounds, it means that when a building permit is granted, when a new development is built, the fire marshal is always part of the meeting and part of the plan. Well, our notion is, and I'm sure every other fire department, let's prevent the fire. Let's make sure our buildings are safe for our residents and our visitors.
And it comes into play in all different facets too, because there's partnerships between this fire department and other communities, including right here in our greater West Bloomfield communities, where they partner with Orchard Lake Village, Sylvan Lake, and Kegel Harbor to cover the Tri-City Fire Department as well. Just how important is that partnership between your local fire department and these other cities? What does that really provide to our communities?
Yeah, good question by you. It benefits the entire community. We're not an island here. We're part of a 36 square mile area, but we have good relationships with other fire departments. We help them, they help them. So Tyler, if there's a major fire in Waterford or Commerce Township, West Bloomfield firefighters might arrive at the scene.
Yeah, and also just going in further into that, you think about the fire department and the ways that they're helping these other communities. They're also really heavily involved, as you mentioned, here in the community, helping the future of West Bloomfield be built. Can you go into some detail on the communication that goes on between new developers in West Bloomfield? We've seen so many new developments come up, and there's so many plans still in the works to build the future of this community. How big of a role does the fire department play in that to make sure that these new entities that are coming in are safe themselves, but also safe for their neighbors and the local area around them in West Bloomfield?
Right. Our fire department plays a major role, and they'll review the plans. We have three members, as you know, of the Fire Marshal's Division. Sure. We have Byron Turnquist, and we have Dave Goff, and we have Dave DeBoer, and I'd like to extend warm wishes to him and his family.
Yes.
He just survived a medical emergency. But having three members of the Fire Marshal's Department means that they're in the community and they spot incidents, Tyler, which could lead to a fire eruption. So very important, because we want to prevent it now and not worry about it later.
We're joined by Steve Kaplan, West Bloomfield Township Supervisor, at Fire Station number 1 today, the big event, the Fire Department Open House here in West Bloomfield. You can learn more information about the fire department at wbtownship.org, or just come right out here today at Fire Station number 1 on Orchard Lake Road between Lone Pine and Walnut Lake. Parking is available at West Bloomfield High School. There is no parking on site at the fire station, but you can park at the high school and shuttle on over, courtesy of West Bloomfield Parks, or just take a nice little walk north toward Lone Pine Road after you park at the high school, and join us right here to learn more about your local fire department. It's also a great opportunity, Steve, to learn about all of our public safety departments here that really do a great job of working in tandem with one another and to keep the community safe, and think about these different sort of beacons of the community here in West Bloomfield, these different events and these different happenings that are always going on in West Bloomfield, and working in tandem to make sure those events go on safely and without really ever noticing that the public safety departments are involved.
Their team, it's great teamwork. When we had the pandemic explode here in March of 2020, we had meetings with our department heads, but always the fire chief and the police chief. And they have a good relationship. They like each other. They respect one another. They compliment one another. So by having a good relationship between our chiefs, I think the public benefits tremendously.
And they do, and having those two departments be able to work in tandem together the way that they do makes these different events that we have run so much smoother, but also helps to address these emergencies in a way that is efficient, that is effective, and helps other communities as well. Because in some cities and municipalities that are a little bit larger, those two departments are very isolated, even down to dispatch. But here, that communication is all across the board for all of our public safety right here in West Bloomfield.
You're right. No, they have a good relationship. And you mentioned the dispatchers. Well, we have 15 dispatchers at the police/fire stations, and these are true professionals. Many of them have delivered babies.
Yeah.
They've saved lives. They've actually been involved in providing information even when we don't have an exact address on a 911 call. So I would say that our dispatchers exceed any other department, Tyler.
And it's all going back. We've talked so much about this, about partnership, and beyond the public safety departments and their partnership together with other communities within our community, we have so many great community organizations too that also contribute so much to our community in a number of different ways, and all collectively also speak to that and how that defines really what West Bloomfield is as a community overall.
Tyler, I think you can gauge the happiness, the contentment of residents based on how many clubs there are, how many organizations, and you're familiar with them all. We have an active Rotary Club, an Optimist Club, we have youth assistance, we have the Greater West Bloomfield Coalition for Youth, and many other groups. I know I must have omitted one of them. But these organizations give a new member, a new resident, an opportunity to join and meet people. I forgot to mention the West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, yes. And you know Suzanne Levine.
Of course.
I mean, she is tremendous, and she recruits new businesses, and she makes businessmen and women feel comfortable. I mean, if you're a new resident or a new business and you're in a plaza, how many people are you going to know? Maybe the business is nearby. But when you have Suzanne Levine overseeing the organization, then it makes you feel comfortable, makes you meet friends and earn more customers, and a happy ending.
Yeah, and there's so many different great organizations that you can learn about here in West Bloomfield Township. They all work together in various ways, and they all will help you inform yourself, your family, and your neighbors about those organizations as well. And one of those that's really just probably the fan favorite, let's say, among the township is the West Bloomfield Parks Department. They
Yes.
do such great work. They're doing work today, helping people get to the fire department for the fire department open house. Talk about West Bloomfield Parks and just how important their work is to attracting people to West Bloomfield to live here and work here, to play here, and also just the role that they play overall and defining what West Bloomfield is from a governmental standpoint.
To use a cliche, the Parks Commission provides services and activities and programs for those in ages 1 to 100 and maybe past 100. But it's very important for our seniors. Our seniors were homebound, many of them, because of the pandemic. And there are all kinds of activities thanks to the Parks Commission, which, by the way, as you know, is a separately elected governmental body. And if we didn't have a special or separate Parks Commission, then it would fall under the umbrella of the Township Board. But the Parks Commission does a tremendous job. We have an interim director in Joe Munum, but just pick up one of their catalogs and you'll see all the activities that they sponsor. And for new residents can make
Yes.
friends. They attend meetings, they attend events. Before you know it, you have a new best friend.
Yeah, and plenty of different kinds of activities for the whole family all throughout the year. WBparks.org for more information on that. And you can find more about organizations and other community happenings all throughout West Bloomfield Township on the Township website, WBtownship.org. We mentioned earlier, Lannis Foundation was with us. They have an upcoming flu shot drive at West Bloomfield Town Hall. That's going to be this week, Thursday, October 6th at 3:30 p.m. It's going to be in the Township Employee Break Room at Town Hall. Go stop by at 3:30 p.m. on Thursday. You can get yourself a flu shot and also talk to all the people at the Township about what's going on here in West Bloomfield. And when we mentioned development, we mentioned partnership, we can't talk about that without mentioning this great new middle school we have here in West Bloomfield. I was over there a couple weeks back for their ribbon cutting ceremony as we were doing our broadcast out from there with Calvin Brown from our team, and wow, what a facility.
We had two middle schools for many years, Abbott and Orchard Lake. So this is the Orchard Lake Middle School, West Bloomfield Middle School, and it provides services to all middle school students. So you have one middle school, but it's a state-of-the-art building, and safety was taken into effect. I mean, nobody wants to think about this on a daily basis, about carnage at a school, but here, the police chief was consulted, the fire chief, and although we can't divulge the plans, we think that the middle school is one of the safest schools in Michigan, and we certainly want to prevent any type of violence because our students deserve to attend school not being worried about having an emergency access during the day.
Yeah, not to mention just it's a brand new facility. It was built with modern education in mind, and that really speaks to the way that the West Bloomfield School District has operated over its history, certainly over the last couple of decades, and shifting where they go forward in order to make those families, because this is really a home community, a residential community. That's what I was looking for, and having these families be able to come into West Bloomfield assured that their kids, whether they go to West Bloomfield schools or they go to one of the other several school districts that cover West Bloomfield, their kids are going to get a great education.
And West Bloomfield High School has a 95% success rate in terms of students attending either a community college or a four-year university after graduating. And that speaks highly for the organization. I say that the school board, they're elected, they're nonpartisan, there are 7 members. These professionals hire the superintendent, and we've had some tremendous superintendents over the years, and you know them, Jerry Hill and Gary Faber and Seymour Gretschko and Joanna Andrus, and on it goes. But it starts at the top, so I want to commend the school board trustees for selecting the best superintendents in the area.
Yeah, it's having somebody leading that school district for as long as Dr. Gerald Hill did, it was tough to really comprehend, well, what's going to be next after Dr. Hill? And so now with Dr. Bazzi coming in, hitting the ground running, and just another show of great leadership in our schools and great leadership in our community. We're joined by Steve Kaplan. He is the West Bloomfield Township Supervisor with us live at Fire Station number 1, the Fire Department open house, happening this afternoon, noon until 3 p.m. So just another over 2 hours remaining here. Come on down, park at the high school, West Bloomfield High School, take a slight walk north toward Lone Pine Road, or take the shuttle courtesy of West Bloomfield Parks and join us here at Fire Station number 1 to learn more about your local fire department, your other public safety, and plenty of community organizations as well. And you can participate in this, and there's so much other important things that residents can participate in. Certainly our municipal meetings have their voices heard on matters of the future of West Bloomfield Township, but there's also a study that's going on right now about the population of deer in our community. I know that's something that's big with the township right now, understanding that and what sort of steps the township can take about the deer population here in West Bloomfield. What is that study all about, and how can people participate, Steve?
Up until November 11, our residents can participate in a survey. It's on the West Bloomfield website, and we want to know from our residents, how do they feel about the deer overpopulation? Of course, there are residents who love the deer, and they want even more deer. But deer can be dangerous on the roadway. We've had last year we had 120 deer vehicle collisions. This year to date we've had 97. Fortunately, we haven't had a fatality or a serious injury. But we're part of a consortium involving Farmington Hills, City of Southfield, Oakland County, State of Michigan, and there are actually 5 ways that we can combat the deer overpopulation if the study concludes that it's a problem. And one of them, of course, which is relocating the deer. Another one is placing food nearby with contraceptives, so to speak, which would prevent birth.
Of course.
And there are a few other ways which people don't even want to think about, and I'm not necessarily an advocate in that, is shooting the deer. But it might be that the study says that there's a way to relocate to areas, farming areas, rural areas, northern part of the state.
And that you can participate in, wbtownship.org. for more information about what you think about the deer population here in our community here in West Bloomfield, how it affects your family and your residential area as well, and what you think the township should do and what these communities should do to address the increased deer population in West Bloomfield and the local area. Steve, anything else we should be keeping an eye out for or thinking about in terms of township business at this time?
Just want to share with you, I know you're a reader. Tyler is very well informed. Anybody who watches Civic Center TV knows that. But we have a bookstore moving into West Bloomfield in February. It's Schuler's Books. And there are 3 other branches. They are located in Grand Rapids, Lansing, and Ann Arbor. And this is a family-owned business. And I think people are crying out for a bookstore. We miss our bookstore. We lost Barnes & Noble about 9 years ago. Yeah. But a bookstore really benefits the community because people can congregate there. They have programs. They have a cafeteria. So look forward to February of 2023 for Schuler's Books.
Yeah, a great way to support local businesses, Michigan businesses right here in West Bloomfield instead of going online to all these different corporations, especially Amazon. You can support local right here in your community. Great Michigan business in several different communities throughout the state of Michigan. You want to learn more about what Schuler's Books plans to do here in West Bloomfield, highly encourage you to go to our on-demand page at civiccentertv.com. Larry Nyland from the Splash Live had a great interview with the owners of Schuler's Books fairly recently. civiccentertv.com and click on demand, or go to youtube.com and search for Civic Center TV 15 to find all that. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tyler.
Appreciate it.